Hi, this is Dino the Ops Guy back with you. We are um, we are back with episode 6 from the production management and practice course, basically running production management course in Stardew Valley. So you can try it out yourself if you have Stardew Valley. Um I can show you stuff that happens that I have very little control over, like a manufacturing situation. So really, just going through typically things that would happen in manufacturing as they're represented in Stardew Valley, and going through what can we learn from it as a sort of university level course, if you will, introduction to production management. So we will carry on where we left off. Today, I want to focus a bit on projects. We've talked a bit about projects before. We showed the project plan for closing or opening, I guess, the community center. But that was sort of a cursory, sort of, there are things we should consider type introduction to it. I want to get specifically into project charters. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of project charters, but they have a very specific purpose. Really, it's all about getting everyone on the same page. And if it's just me and Av, we're probably on the same page. But on bigger levels, and even with me and Av and I, there may be situations where at some time I'm thinking one thing, and later on when Av's looking at it, Av's thinking something else. So some clarity around that is very, very important. Whether it warrants its own charter or its own line or whatever, we're not going to mince. But at the end of the day, clarity is of the utmost importance. And I was talking with a consulting friend of mine, a really good consultant. He was talking about how essentially, when you get into a situation where the person running the project says, "Well, we'd like to do vendor management," and it's like, "Well, you already do vendor management." Says, "No, no, no. This is the project to basically do it right, do it properly." It's like, "Well, what's the opposite of vendor? Like, what are you not doing now? Let's talk about not vendor management, the word or the title, but the specific things that you want to change." And that comes up a lot. There's basically umbrella style words that are passed off in project charters or in projects themselves, that until we get to the details of what specifically do you mean by that, we don't have everyone on the same page, and often that costs time and dollars. So I guess they're often seen as superfluous, but it's still important to cover, basically slow down and come down to what are we trying to do? What do we want to do and how? What do each stakeholder, what's their responsibility? If I'm one of those stakeholders, I would like to know what I'm responsible for, whether I like to do it or not. And until we have those words on paper, it's not clear what exactly is going on in the project. So we want to really, in the project charter, say this is what we want to do and this is how we are going to do it. That's the basic, right? We can look into risk analysis, we can get into stakeholder analysis, but all of that really is secondary to just give me the skinny on what this project specifically is trying to achieve and who and how they are going to achieve that. So I want to get back to our Big Easy. When we set this up before, we realized that the best front project, the easiest right away project was going to be connecting to the tide pools, and we did that. So now I've taken it and I've expanded it a bit and added a couple other projects. So if we're looking at what projects we have on the go or what potential projects we have, and where they rest on how easy it is to accomplish them and how big their return is going to be, and sort of graph them out, if you will. The first one, and this is a repeat from the last time we did this, the How to Win Friends quest. That'll give us 100G, not a ton of money, but at this point, there's only a few people left, so it's a lot easier than it was before. And maybe it's worth doing just because it's easy, so I'm going to put that up very far on the easy side, and really, sort of low from the big standpoint. The second one, again, we've had this one before, is the 24 slot backpack. We're constantly trying to throw stuff out so we can pick different things up. Especially in the mine, you'll find it a lot more when we're getting into mining. So this is a big value, certainly bigger than the friends, right? And when I say big, it's just an annoyance. There's no huge dollar value that we typically can put on it. It's not like, 1,000 G or 10,000 G. So it's not like I can't say it's 10 times as valuable as the 100 G we're going to get for the first project, the How to Win Friends. But it's certainly bigger than that. As well, we had before upgrade the axe, because if we upgrade the axe, we can chop down wood faster. That's a great resource to use, especially as we get into building barns and coops. Wood is going to be very, very important, but it requires 5 copper bars, and we haven't even gotten a copper bar yet. So it's kind of saying, well, that's a little harder than we would have thought. I put this is a new one, upgrading the watering can. Well, essentially, upgrading the watering can from a cost standpoint, 5 copper bars and 2,000 G is the same for whether it's an axe or a watering can. And it's actually harder to do the watering can because we want to time it that if there's a rainy day, we don't have to water our crops. So we want our watering can fixed on that day. So it's a little harder than the axe, but about the same value. Maybe it's a little more value because we can plant more crops that way, but not a ton more value. Wood versus crops kind of thing. Um, so that one is in there from the standpoint that if we can hit a rainy day, that's a really good one to have. And then another one I've put on, and there's a lot more we can include, but this is a longer term one. We want to make a bee house because I've told you from a crop standpoint in the spring, strawberries are sort of the best return we can get. Well, the bee crop actually has a really good return comparable to strawberries, but we don't have to ever water it. So it's a really good big return because it's like having a strawberry plant that we don't have to water kind of thing, and it goes across different seasons. Not winter, but still we got a lot of seasons before we get to winter. But here we can see sort of laid out, have a discussion, and a lot of discussion is just rebalancing, moving these around to where people feel it's appropriate, having the discussions to say, well, this is why I think this one's bigger, or this is why I think this one's easier. Not really getting into the minutia. Well, this is going to help my department, or that's going to help, whatever. It really gets to just on a level of how big is it and how easy is it. So if we're looking just at getting a little more detail again towards a project charter, how we're going to win friends? Well, if we pull up, our friend list, if you will, there's 5 people who are not indicated yet, but one of them is the wizard, and we haven't really technically met the wizard. Like, there's no possibility to meet him. So when we open up the quest screen and it says 24 to 28, it's really the 4 people other than the wizard. So that's Sam, Demetrius, Linus, and Janice. So those are the 4 people we have to meet. Doesn't seem like a lot of people. And then once we meet those, we have to give any gift to anyone. And we get a reward of 100. And I suggest, well, Leah and Linus, just from playing in the past, I know, really like forge items. Typically, we're carrying one of them. Usually, they take up an inventory slot we don't want to use. So it's nice if we got an extra forge unit and we want that inventory slot, we can just, if we see Leah or Linus, hand it to them, and that's the gift at that time. So if we're looking at proper charter now, right, we want to clarify and explicit connections, right? Get the explicit connections to the strategy. So we also want to say what parts in the project and what parts are not in the project, the scope discussion. We want to say, as far as roles and responsibility, who is responsible for what? And we can get into who's doing what, but I don't care really who's doing it as a project manager. I care about who's responsible for it, because if someone is doing it, let's say an outside contractor, I'm not going to necessarily go to the outside contractor and say, why haven't you done this? I'm going to go to the person responsible and say, why haven't you gotten them to do this? Key milestones and timelines, when do we have to check back, that sort of thing. Resources and budget, what accounting should be considered, what kind of resources can we apply? If there's any change in reporting lines, how does that work, and what's going on that way? And then the last one is risks and constraints. And we're looking at realistic concerns. If you spend too much time in the risk and constraints, you're going to go way out of, like a tornado could come. Well, we're not going to include tornadoes unless they're realistic kind of thing. So if we're just doing how to win friends chart as an example, we want to talk to Sam, Demetrius, Linus, and Jazz. We want to give them a gift, a forge item. For Leah and Linus would be simple enough. We get 100 return that we can be invested for other things, and the sooner we can get it, the sooner we can invest. So we sort of get that, what's the urgency, what's the importance of it. And it's really not that urgent whether we do 100 on Tuesday or 100 on Wednesday. Over time it becomes a problem, but if it's just one day difference, I'm not going to get all wigged out about it. Scope, I know there's two different areas we have to focus on. We really have to spend time in the north to find Demetrius and Linus. We have to spend time sort of between Cineforest and the beach to get Jas and Sam. But other than that, it really doesn't affect a lot of the other stuff we're doing. As key responsibilities, I really want to do it as our daily excursion. I don't know that I want to make a special trip if I don't have to. Key milestones should only take a day. If it takes 2 days, again, the urgency isn't there. I'm not too concerned, right? Resources and budget. This is one of the easy ones. There's really no resource that we have to, just sort of as we're going. At some point, we'll have to give over a gift, but hopefully that's not complicated at all. So, and then the last one is risks and constraints, right? It may be hard to find the people. Again, I'm not too worried if it takes another day. It's not a big rush. So, if we want to compare that to, let's say, making a bee house, well, bee houses offer 100G every 4 days, so 25G a day. Again, comparable to if we had like a strawberry plant, right? But as well, it's passive. We don't act to what? We don't have, all we have to do is pick up the honey as we go by, kind of thing, right? So, and as well, it even gets better if we grow flowers around it, and there's sort of a pattern we can get to optimize which flowers at which time. So in some cases, we can double that or even triple that, or like, do much better than that. So the scope, of course, really we need copper, and that becomes a bit of a contentious issue because we need copper for a lot of things. So both we want to set up that means we have to do some mining, but as well we have to be a bit stringent on who gets the copper so that we can get it in the right spot at the right time. Roles and responsibility, average responsible for the whole thing, including the mining. Timeline, well, the first step really is to get tappers so that we can get maple syrup so that we can make the bee house. The second, of course, is we need a lot of mining to get to copper, and then we have to get to essentially 40, 50, 60 floor in the mine before we can even start getting a decent amount of iron so that we can use it in the recipe specifically for the bee house. So there's a fair bit of scope that key timelines that we want to keep track of, making sure we're spending some time mining, making sure we're spending some time committing copper to tappers and maintaining the tapper, kind of watching when the tappers are ready. Resource and budget, again, the thing we're going to have to track on the resources really is going to be that copper. Risk and constraint, just how valuable those copper bars are. So that gives you a feel for two different projects and how much more the charter matters. But again, a lot of this information may not have been clear until I explicitly said, hey, copper is going to be a big one on this one. A lot of mining is going to be big on this one. There's a really big return versus while we're walking down south, make sure you check in with these people. While you're walking up north, make sure you check in with these people. And, Bob's your uncle kind of thing. So if we go back to our big easy based on what we understand, certainly as far as the making friends one, the book, just do it. It's not hard. It's not going to take a lot. It's not going to affect a lot of people, right? Once we get to the backpack, once we have the money, we really want to get it because it helps us mine copper and affects a lot of the other projects, certainly the other three that we've listed. So it really is sort of front of mind on a money level. However, once you get to the other three, it comes down to where is your copper going? So if we have the right amount of copper, the 5 bars, and we know that it's going to rain the next day, it's probably worth our while. Now we'll have to check to make sure there's no festival days involved and stuff to mess us up. But we are probably best off putting those 5 bars into a watering can so we can get that done while it's raining. Otherwise, our first priority is really going to be getting copper for tappers, getting, at least one, but up to 5 tappers so that we can get maple syrup so that we can make bee houses over top of our need for the axe. So the axe is just going to be sort of the last wait for copper. And we've kind of used the Big Easy to sort of map this out, use the project management tools or the project charter, etc., essentially, to sort of lay out why these are important, where they fit, what's going on, what constraints we have, what concerns do we have, those types of things. And then together with the Big Easy and the project structure, if you will, we have a good discussion of where the resource should be going and what we should be doing next. So really, from a management standpoint, the management is responsible for the portfolio, how the two things fit together. And this is why Big Easy is so important in this. Um, but really, it comes down to if there's something that's strategy related, in this case, we're saying we want to finish the community center. Thus, there are things that we need money for, and bee houses are a good part of money. There are things that we need syrup for, like maple syrup for the food in on the bulletin board, and a few others. So to get those under our belt, we have to work early, and it's up to management to have those on the project portfolio in the right way. It is not up to management to say which projects, as long as all of the projects cover all of the needs. And if there's a need that's missing, then you got to go back and sort of poke people to say, this is what we need next. And how do you want to structure that project? So if the project is strategic impact, we need the charter to lock that in so that we know we're getting what we need and everyone in it understands what's going on, right? And management is responsible not for the projects themselves, but to make sure that the portfolio continues to cover what it needs to cover. Okay, so I want to go back to food values. Before, we didn't have as many. We just had spring onions, which we were really happy about, and then the forage items from the spring. So we can also look at, well, what if we get seaweed? Well, what if we get green algae? Both of those are really good food sources and well worth, in a pinch, eating those before you eat a lot of the other things. And I've sort of created this graph to show you essentially where they are on the energy per G basis, and still far and away the higher levels of spring onions, but spring onions in general are the best deal. If we look at the field snack, you can argue that to sell the field snack, it's only 20, but whatever. But to make it, I need an acorn, maple seed, and pine cone, and the value of those three together is 30. So I'm using 30 in this case, but I'm getting 45 return. So that's where I'm getting that 1.5 energy per gold or whatever energy per G return. So those are also very good, especially when I run out of spring onions. But from a cost to make standpoint, from a cost to sell, that's kind of moot. But a cost to make standpoint, I'm just as good eating, better eating field snack than algae or seaweed or any of the forageables. Past spring onions and the field snack, the next one's really, until you get into the higher star forageables, you're best off just eating algae or eating seaweed whenever you have that situation going on. The more important thing here is being able, as an operations manager, as a production manager, to sort of look at the key metric here is going to be energy per gold or energy per G, and laying out for anyone who has to essentially affect it what's going to be the right thing to do at any given time. So I wanted to also talk about plots. We had a situation. So essentially, well, let Av talk about the where we missed watering. But we got 13 plots that we know are going to come due as long as the crows don't take over. So 13 parsnips. So with those 13 parsnips, it's going to give us 455 gold or more. If one of the parsnips is Iron Star, or higher, but the base value is going to be 455. So we can start planning. Well, on day 7, we'll have another 3 parsnips for 105. On day 8, we're expecting another 36 parsnips. Again, all based, hopefully we don't lose it to crows. But at and then we can sort of work forward. We got 692 to start the day. Add another 455, and we'll have, by the end of day 6, we're going to have 1260. I'd like to have 2000 for the backpack, but we're not going to have enough. And Willie is kind of closed, so there's not a lot of opportunity to get more. So when we get to day 8, there's 1260 more, so we're in a better situation. So with the 290 692 that we have plus the 455, we'll have 1147. And there won't be a lot of opportunity to get more because Willie's closed. So that's kind of the end of that. On day 7, if we could sell it, we would sell it for 1252. But we can't sell it at Pierre's. We have to actually ship, so we won't actually get it till day 8. So on day 8, the sum of everything we have is going to be 2512, which is more than the 2000. So we're going to target day 8 is really where I'm going to here for that backpack. Now, there's an extra 500, so we're happy to use part of that 500 to buy parsnips. I know we're going to have 13 slots, so go crazy, Av. All right, so the objectives are going to be: 1, get spring onions, and on the way look for Jess. 2, go to the forge for the beach. You won't be able to sell it with Willie because he's probably not there. But on the way, if you see Sam, grab Sam. Then if you see along the way, whether it's along the beach or any sort of other path where you see the rings that tell you the fish are biting faster, for sure, grab it with your fishing rod. Otherwise, don't bother fishing today. Cash out all your harvest at Pierre's, and then replenish that with the same number of plots. And then I'm there's a cut scene that comes with the community center. I never remember if it's day 5 or day 6 or whenever that is. I think it changes with rain as well. So hopefully it's today, and then we can get a first look at a community center. If not, we'll skip over it, and then any extra time and any extra resources, energy, etc. we have, we're going to spend the day mining, trying to get down as many floors, at least, every 5 we can sort of bank in because we can use the elevator at that point, but getting as much copper as we can. So we've lined it up. It's going to be up to Av, fair bit to do, Av, but I think you're competent. So whatever you think you need, you got everything's lined up. Take it away, Av. Okay, thanks, Dino. We're back. It is day 6, Saturday in the Stardew world. So we're gonna. So Marlin sent us something for the guild saying, yeah, we're if we get far enough down, once we get to 5, and I think eventually we want to get some slimes, and then we get invited in, that sort of thing. So just watering, we do want to be careful how we water, as we were saying before, looking at water efficiency. And this water efficiency is not a management project. I know Dino talked about projects. This is not the type of thing that we would get a project charter for necessarily. We could, it doesn't hurt. But this is not a strategic thing. It is really more of management's responsibility to, basically do their homework to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So this is really my responsibility as Av. I'm going to make sure we missed that one again. There's a few things going on. I know we were looking before. We had a 4% loss kind of thing, and I do want to sort of talk about what I found, what's going on. Oh, we forgot the cat. We have to pet and water the cat. We don't have to water the cat. We water the watering bowl, the feed. Um, so let's take care of the cat. Hi, meow. Oh, it's good to see you. And then water in the watering bowl, and then we can go back and refill. Um, and oh, we need a refill. So we're gonna miss some, but we want to miss as few as possible. We'd like as much visibility as possible. So I've sort of run some numbers, put some things together that I'd like to walk you through, and we will get right to it. Let's finish up what we got watering here. So far, so good. There's a couple I think we missed. Oh, there's another miss. Every once in a while. I don't know that we're going to get to zero. I think that's the so typically the lean zero thing. It's we aspire to it, but we don't always get there. So I am going to sort of pause in here. So we're looking for patterns of things that go wrong, trying to take some data. One of the things that I've noticed early on, and I'll show you this, sometimes when I step across a plot and then try and go back and water it, so you can see in the sort of the top part, we're walking left, and then when we come back, we end up missing where we're trying to water because we're watering behind it. Um, that's something early on that I noticed, and it concerned me just a bit. So, starting to take notes again, I kept track of which day and then how many good waters we had before we got the mist water. And then when we got the mist water, I said which charge number. So looking for sort of the phase of the charge from the standpoint, is it always the first one after we've refilled the water, the number one charge? Is it usually just before we're empty, like the 39th kind of thing? So I wanted to keep that in mind to see what patterns were going on there. I wanted to see which way we were facing. A bit of this is going to be there's a bias problem from the standpoint we usually plant our stuff left to right, at least for now, because it's easier to see. The scarecrows don't get in the way as much, that sort of thing. So, and then in or out is basically, am I standing on the plot I'm trying to water? Am I in it? Or am I watering a plot next to me? Am I out of it kind of thing, right? And then again, early on, I'm seeing that step across problem where I'll water a spot, step across the spot that I watered to get to the next one, and then even further, and then turn around and water back. And that's where I'm seeing a miss. So that first one, I got 13 good charges of water. That's on day one. And then 14, the 14th one we missed on. And then the reason I'm thinking is because we step across. Having said that, as it goes down, I see a couple occurrences early on, and then there don't seem to be as many as we get into day 2 and 3. Well, there's no 3 because it was raining. And then 4 and 5, etc. So from this standpoint, it's something I'm going to keep an eye on, but not the biggest issue. So all in, I wanted to capture how many before we get to the missed one. In the missed situation, some of the things as far as which direction, what was going on, which charge was it, which direction I'm, sort of going to. Um, and really, I'm just trying to say, is there a pattern with the intent? I'm still finding roughly about 4% loss to misses. In this case, the calculation with the ones that are listed 3.7, I'm still going to say it's close enough to 4. We don't have a lot of precision here. The median really is 17 good. Half the time we're 17 or less good before we hit the first one versus more than 17 kind of thing. So other than that, I don't see an observable pattern. I did a histogram of, the charge. Is it always early on? Is it always? It's pretty flat. So this is something. First off, we want to basically put stuff together so that we're keeping track of what's going to change, what we know, what we don't know, these types of things. And the second thing is, as Av, I want to do a presentation. People say, well, yes, you should do a presentation for upper management. I want to do a presentation for my people because they're the first ones who are going to say, well, that's not true, or we should consider that, or every time I notice this, this happens. And then having a discussion with Dino, a presentation with Dino is a good idea. But the first one really has to be, I want to create this fervor, this sort of idea generation on the floor first. So we got some stuff going on. In the process of doing this, I realized something. So on the first day, First day, I think it may have been second day. Um, yeah, it was second day because we didn't get as many plants planted on the first day. There is a little section behind the tree, and this comes back to the whole 5S thing. Uh, 5S is about exposing what is different and what we should know, kind of thing, not just cleaning it up. So, of all these trees, there's only one tree that's really causing a problem. So we got to get rid. And actually, in day three, we did get rid of that tree. But there are three that we didn't water because we went past them and watered the ones next to them and totally missed them. So I went back and changed the plot cycle. So essentially, when you look at how much we're going to harvest each day, there are going to be three on day 7, like tomorrow, that should have been harvested but won't be harvested. So instead of 16, it's going to be 13, or is it actually even today, maybe? But I had to go back and update it, and not so much because I was looking for it, but because there's so much emphasis on one thing. There's a lot of sort of side benefits like this, discovering that we had made a mistake, and now we're going to fix our record, so we better know. So we're better able to understand what's going to happen next. So what is the impact of the 4% miss, and what should we be doing with that sort of thing? Well, we currently only have 270 units for max energy. We can eat food to get more, but essentially that is the main energy that we have, right? If we have 120 plots, we said 100 to 120 kind of thing, and each use 2 energy units per time we water the plot, or watering can charge, if you will. So 240 units of energy are expended just to do the 120 plots. If we do 4% loss, that's another 10 units of energy. So we're up to 250 units of energy out of 270. Other than getting a new source of food and stuff, we really don't have a lot of energy left than just doing those. And 10 doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a difference between 240 and 250 out of 270. So starting to get a little more important. So we do want to keep an eye on it. It is not the most important thing, but certainly it's something that not Dino in management, but Av in production has to keep an eye on. Keep people looking at it often, make it visible, make it something that we're constantly talking about. Okay, we're going to do things a little faster now that we've done our planting. So we are going to head down. We're looking for spring onions, good source of energy. So hopefully we'll find the spring onion set. We we will eventually want to come back and look for Jess. And oh, there is spring onions. That's good. And we even got a couple of the iron, yeah, 2 of the iron quality spring onions, the Iron Star spring onions, if you will. So might as well eat those right away. They're a good return. We won't regret having eaten those. Gives us an extra spot, and we haven't filled up our energy, so we didn't lose any energy that way. So we're going to check in at Marnie's. Sometimes she's hanging out in there. Sometimes she's right in front at the barn there, looking at the cows. Sometimes she's skipping rope underneath the big tree. No, she's not skipping rope under the big tree this time. Not the big tree. There's a lot of big trees, but that big tree. The pink blossom tree, if you want to call it that. So if she's not here, maybe we'll get her the next day, or maybe we'll see her along the way. Oh, there's Sam. We want to get Sam. Then we might as well say hi to Sebastian while we're here. So hi, Sebastian. Hi, Sam. Oh, and there's Jazz. Hi, Jazz. Okay, we got that one done. We can say hi to Vincent. We can say hi to Penny. That's awesome. Let's get to the beach. We will want to get whatever. Oh, there's a forage item. Okay, so glass shards. We'll say hi to Elliot. Glass shards we already given to Gunther, so he's not going to take a second set of glass shards. We can sell them, I think, for 20, but we have to put them in shipping. So if we put them in shipping, we won't get value for them until tomorrow. Not a big deal. We have enough for the parsnips we want to buy today. So we don't have a lot if we wanted to do the backpack, but we've already sort of looked at that's going to be a day 8 thing. So, oh, there's Carolyn there. We should say hi to Carolyn because later on she gives us tea plant, which has a unique ability to fill a spot that we need to fill in the greenhouse. Kind of an odd situation. So we got our 14, so it's 13 for the spot. So we know we have Plus, we removed a rock in the corner to make it sort of, squared out, whatever. So that'll be our 14th one. So I do not understand what is going on with the community center. Sometimes it's day 5, sometimes maybe I just forget. And then I think it changes if it rains. So we'll just come back tomorrow. So, we'll go in and say hi to Demetrius. Hi, Demetrius. And we'll say hi to Mara while we're here. And we'll say hi to Robin while we're here. And we're going to grab that item, the forge item on the way out. Oh, ancient doll. Gunther will want that. So now we have to find Linus, the last one that we. Oh, there's Linus. He's running away from us. Jason. Hi, Linus. Oh, we're there. Now we're going to give him a spring onion. That's a gift. And we get 100 for that. That's awesome. So we're going to make our way. And just skipping forward again. We have our 3 and 9 and 1. And then the additional one that we're going to put in. So that's going to be all of our. Well, we do need more water. That's going to be all of our planning for today, unless we hit a weed somewhere and it gives us a mixed seed, that we're happy to plant that. But I think our planting troubles are complete. So we just fast forward again to the mine. Actually, before we get to the mine, we're going to look for forage items up in this corner. We saw wild horseradish before, but again, it's really good for leek. Leek is a little more valuable than a lot of the other spring forage items, but that's so. So we're going to trade. So the sword is nice to have around 10, not that we need it around 10, but the wooden club is better for against beasties. The problem with the iron club is if you swing and miss, if you don't actually hit your intended target, then it takes a long time to recharge, where the sword recharges faster. So sometimes if I have something in my hand, oh, we got a potential crab. Okay, and then there's that bronze. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Copper breastplate. Yeah, I'm better off not using up the space for that one. So it's nice if you're going to carry a weapon for any reason. Then once we get to the secret force, you will need a weapon in there. You're better off with something fast like a sword because it just refreshes faster. Digger. Might as well get rid of those. So again, if we had the sword, it only does like a couple units damage. So it takes forever to get those diggers. But if you have the nice big club, we definitely want to get that geode. So we're going to dump, probably the slime. Let's get rid of the slime and keep the geode. But it's nice to have the club because all the beasties go by a lot faster. Especially the diggers and the nasty flying ones, not the easy flying ones, insects. And I see copper. Copper is good. Let's get a little more energy, and then we'll go down and grab that copper. Go bonus copper. So in general here, we're looking for easy bugs, copper, or ladders. Ladders. And copper. It's a nice tight area we can use later if we want to use a cherry bomb or something. Oh, here we have. Get the slime. 1, 2, not 2. Get our copper. Copper's good. No, we don't see. So we have 2 spring onion left. It's 9:20. Yeah, let's blow some of this up and just hopefully there's a ladder underneath. No ladder, but we did get some copper. So after about 10, 10:30, you start looking at, well, maybe it's just easier to leave. Now we're on level 8. If we got to level 10, that'd be good because then we could use the elevator. Oh, there was a back to 10. Oh, and I really like this level because of all the swag over here. I don't know that we have a lot of room for it. It'd be nice if we had a bigger backpack. Yeah, we're going leaving that behind us. Oh, and a ladder down to 10. So leaving the sap behind isn't a big deal. So typically when I get to one of these treasure rooms and I'm full inventory, I go up right away, empty what I got, and then go back, just in case. This one I know we had room for boots because we're not wearing boots, but that's not always the case. So it's 10:50, 11 o'clock. We'll just go and check. We don't expect to get 5 more floors. Copper's good. Oh geez, we switched too quickly. Sometimes the interface I find a bit difficult. We're gonna get the whatever the copper, the earthstone, and there's copper. You know what? We got we might as well eat the green algae. So it's nice when we get that green algae. It doesn't come up as often as we'd like when we need food, but it works in this situation. Might as well get the digger when we're there. I think there's another digger got us here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, just yeah, that or the bug. The bug meat is nice to have because we can turn it into much later. Well, not much later, but a little later in the game we can turn it into bait for fishing. So oh, and the yam. So the thing with the yam is it's on the long tent pole for I mean, pumpkins are a little longer and yams are in there, but sometimes we'll plant the yams and use a speed grow just so that we can get the yam faster. But now that we already have it from the mines, we don't have to worry about growing it. So when it comes to autumn and the planting, we're going to be much better off. And we'll just dump what we got and we will be ready for bed. We have enough to build. Yes, we are going to build a furnace. Running low on time, but still worth it. Not there. There. Put our copper in it, and then we can go to bed. There'll be copper in the morning. That'll be well worthwhile. Level 3 foraging, level 1 mining. Once we get to level 4 foraging, we can get tappers. That's going to be a good thing. And all good. Take over. Dino, it's all yours. Okay, thanks, Av. Good work. We are going to carry on. The day 6 objectives that we had in mind: wanted to get spring onions, we're going to look for jazz. We got that. That's good. Forage the beach, fish anywhere, and we'll just move right forward to cash out the harvest, mine the floors for copper. Not only did we mine the floors for copper, but we had enough to make a furnace to get our first copper bar. That's awesome. Exceptional. The only thing is, and this is on me, this is on management, we forgot to indicate that we need scarecrows. I mean, Av could have figured it out as well, but I totally forgot that after we got our ability to make scarecrows in day, sorry, from mining 1, or from farming 1, we should have built scarecrows because then we don't have to worry about them stealing our stuff. But we got to wait one more day, worry that they're going to steal our stuff. And we'll put it first on the list tomorrow. Again, Av noted that we're at level 3 foraging. If we get to level 4, then we can use those copper bars to make tappers. And then we can use the tappers to start developing for maple syrup and then oak syrup. And then later on, we're going to get into pine sap. But those open up some of our big multipliers. It opens up the the honey. What is it? The bee houses. I always want to say honeycombs. I think they are honeycombs, but the bee houses, and it opens up the kegs. So, and before too long, with an advance in farming, we're going to get into preserves. Those really move things much faster, and then they get into, from a pedagogical level, some different decision making, some different structures that we got to look at. Further to that, production is really non-linear, and how we deal with some of those non-linear issues. But so we will pick this up in episode 7, on day 7, and we got to get to those scarecrows. But hopefully you're getting something out of this. Leave comments as far as things that you want to discuss that have either happened or could happen or are going to happen, whatever the case. If you have questions or comments, love to hear them. But this is Dino the Ops Guy signing off.